Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a story that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. It starts with something so small, so ordinary, you'd probably laugh if I told you how it began: a routine doctor's visit, a half-empty waiting room that smelled faintly of disinfectant and stale magazines. But trust me, when I say this, you probably won't survive this story. It's not just about betrayal. It's about realizing the people who should protect you might be the ones tightening the noose around your life. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to watch the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. Because tonight, things are going to get dark quiet and painfully real. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's comfortably embark on tonight's journey. It's Tuesday morning, 9:07 a.m., and I'm sitting on that crinkly paper sheet, scrolling through my phone while waiting for Dr. Patel. I've seen him for years. He's the kind of doctor who remembers what tea you drink, who asks about your kids, who knows your laugh. But today, when he walks in, his face looks wrong. His smile is tight, his eyes dart toward the closed door twice before speaking. He asks about my blood tests, then hands me a small prescription slip folded in half. He says just some notes about your vitamin levels in a voice that feels rehearsed. I don't think much of it until I'm in the parking lot fumbling for my keys when the note flutters open in my hand. Don't trust your family. For a second, I just stare at it. You know that hollow feeling when something hits you but your brain refuses to absorb it? That was me frozen by my car, the world buzzing in the background, horns, footsteps, a dog barking. My doctor, someone I trusted, was warning me about my own family. What could he possibly mean? I laugh out loud, half crazy thinking, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's meant for someone else. But deep down, something cold and ancient in my gut whispers, no, it's meant for you. That night at dinner, I look at my husband differently. His name is Daniel, an accountant, predictable, meticulous, the kind of man who alphabetizes the spice rack. We've been married 12 years, and I know every twitch in his jaw, every sigh in his sleep. But now every movement feels staged, deliberate. When he asks how my appointment went, I mention nothing about the note. Instead, I smile and say, "Fine, just routine," while he slices his steak too slowly, too carefully. People still debate whether instincts are just evolved pattern recognition or something supernatural, but that night, mine screamed louder than logic. After dinner, I excuse myself, pretending to check emails, but instead, I lock myself in the bathroom. The note is in my hand again. I study Dr. Patel's handwriting, the faint indentation where he pressed the pen too hard, as if he wanted to make sure I'd see it, even in the dark. Don't trust your family. The more I stare, the more the words start to warp. Why now? What does he know? You'd think I'd call him immediately, but something stops me. Maybe it's fear of what he'll say. Maybe it's because I realize if he risked writing that note, there's a reason he didn't say it out loud. So instead, I start small. I check my online medical portal. My last test results are gone, completely erased. The page says, "Data not available," which has never happened before. I start remembering tiny things: how my mother recently insisted on driving me to appointments, how Daniel suddenly began asking about my insurance plan, how my sister-in-law offered to handle my medical bills since she loves paperwork. Things that seemed like kindness now feel like choreography. I try to rationalize it, reminding myself that most families aren't conspiracies. They're just messy, well-intentioned people. But then I think of a statistic I once read: more than 60% of inheritance disputes involve at least one family member accused of manipulation before the death even occurs. The number haunts me now. That night I barely sleep. Every creak of the house feels like footsteps. The fridge hum sounds like breathing. At 3:17 a.m., I get up and pace, checking the locks. I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror, eyes wide, hair unbrushed, clutching that note like a talisman. I start whispering questions into the dark. Who, why me? I wish I could tell you. I went back to bed, but I didn't. I sat by the window until dawn, watching the neighborhood come alive while my stomach churned with dread. The next morning, I call Dr. Patel's office. His assistant tells me he's on leave for the week, which makes no sense because I saw him less than 24 hours ago. I ask if he's okay, and she hesitates before saying, "He just needed time off, ma'am." Time off. I almost laugh. My doctor warns me not to trust my family and then vanishes overnight. At breakfast, Daniel hums softly while making coffee, his back to me. I catch the faint smell of my mother's favorite perfume on his shirt collar. My brain wants to reject it, but my body freezes. I say nothing, just sip my coffee until it's cold. When he leaves for work, I check his briefcase. Inside, tucked between folders, there's a small envelope from my insurance company addressed to both of us. I open it. Inside is a policy renewal form listing my life insurance value. It's been quietly tripled. People still debate whether paranoia is a symptom of madness or a sign of awareness. I don't know which side I'm on yet, but I know this much: I'm not crazy. Something is wrong, and whatever it is, it started the moment that note found its way into my hand. The next morning feels like waking up inside someone else's life. The air in the house is too still, too deliberate, like the calm before a storm pretending to be peace. I make breakfast just to keep my hands busy, the smell of burnt toast mixing with the faint citrus cleaner Daniel always insists on buying. He walks in wearing that same blue tie he wore yesterday, smiles too wide and asks, "Feeling better?" It's such a normal question, but my stomach twists like he's asking something entirely different. I nod, mumble something about being fine, and the moment he leaves, I throw the note from Dr. Patel into the toaster slot, not to burn it, just to hide it. Somewhere absurd enough no one would think to look. I spend the rest of the morning pretending to work from home, but really I'm replaying every conversation I've had over the past few months. My mom asking if I've updated my will just in case. My sister-in-law mentioning how stress can mimic serious illness. Daniel's quiet insistence that I rest more, eat less salt, take that new medication he picked up for me. I used to think those were signs of care. Now they sound like choreography steps in a dance I didn't know I was part of. By noon, I can't take the uncertainty anymore. I drive back to the clinic. The receptionist recognizes me and looks confused. "Didn't you have your appointment yesterday?" she asks. I lie and say I dropped my wedding ring in the exam room. She sighs, hands me a key, and waves me through. The hallway smells faintly of antiseptic and paper. The fluorescent lights hum like a hive above me. I unlock Dr. Patel's office, and that's when I see it, my patient file sitting half open on his desk. It shouldn't be there. He never leaves paperwork out. I flip through it quickly, my heartbeat matching the tick of the wall clock. Test results, visit notes, prescriptions, nothing unusual until I notice the access log at the bottom of the last page. It lists every time my file was opened. The last 5 entries aren't by Dr. Patel. They're by someone named Family Authorized D. Whitmore. That's my husband's name. I freeze. My hand trembles over the paper. I didn't give Daniel access to my records. I didn't even know that was possible. My throat goes dry and a strange metallic taste creeps into my mouth. I scan further and find something worse, a recent note tagged Family Inquiry Progressive Treatment Options. I don't know what progressive means in this context, but it doesn't sound good. I hear footsteps in the hallway. I panic, shove the file back into place, and slip out the side exit. As I sit in my car, the world feels unreal, like it's running half a second behind. My doctor is gone, my husband is snooping in my medical file, and someone is adjusting insurance policies behind my back. It's not a coincidence anymore. It's a pattern. Back home, I can't stop thinking about something I once read: families are like closed ecosystems. Whatever happens inside rarely gets sunlight. In most cultures, we're taught to assume family means safety, but in inheritance law, next of kin often means next in line for control. People still debate whether trust is something you earn or something you lose only once. I'm starting to learn it's neither, it's a currency, and mine has been stolen. That evening, my mother drops by unexpectedly. She brings soup, smiles sweetly, and says she's just checking in. But she asks odd questions: how I'm sleeping, if I'm still seeing the same doctor, if I've sorted my paperwork. The phrase makes my skin crawl. I tell her I'm fine, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. She insists I rest and says she'll let herself out. But as she hugs me goodbye, I feel her hand brush against my purse on the counter just a second too long, like she's checking for something. After she leaves, I sit there for 10 minutes before opening my purse. The note's still gone safe in the toaster, but I notice the zipper pocket is half open. Inside the folded printout of my old prescription list, something she couldn't have known was there. That night, I make myself tea and sit in the kitchen with only the under-cabinet light on. I think about how easily people lie when it's wrapped in concern. My family has always been polite, functional, our arguments tidy and quiet. My mother never yells. Daniel never slams doors. But maybe silence is its own kind of violence. Around midnight, curiosity wins. I dig the note back out of the toaster and study it again. Dr. Patel's handwriting, his slanted D, the tiny dot of ink where his pen must have hesitated before writing the word trust. I whisper it out loud. Don't trust your family. Saying it feels like betrayal even though I'm the one being betrayed. I know I can't just sit and spiral. I need proof. So I grab Daniel's spare keyring from the bowl by the door and unlock his office. It's small, immaculate books, stacked symmetrically, bills sorted by date. I start with his desk drawers, receipts, tax folders, a few USB drives, but then I find something that shouldn't exist, an envelope marked Insurance Private Use. Inside are forms bearing my name and signature dated 2 months ago, renewing a life policy worth 3 times my annual salary. I never signed them. My hand shakes so hard the papers crinkle. I lean against the desk dizzy. My husband has been altering official documents my mother's been asking about my sleep, and my doctor vanished right after warning me. Suddenly, the whole house feels hostile, like it's watching me. I lock the papers back and leave everything exactly as I found it. But I can't sleep. My chest buzzes like static electricity. Every sound in the house becomes a potential threat, the clock ticking, the heater humming, Daniel's slow breathing beside me. He turns in his sleep, murmurs something like it's almost time. I stop breathing altogether. The next morning, I tell him I'm going grocery shopping. Instead, I drive to the park and sit in the car trying to steady myself. I call the insurance company pretending to be confused about a renewal notice. The representative tells me cheerfully that Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore confirmed the policy together in office. Together. I want to scream, but I just whisper, "Thank you," and hang up. You know that feeling when you realize the monster isn't under your bed. It's in the kitchen, making coffee. That's what it feels like now. I'm trapped in a house that looks normal in a marriage that's killing me softly. Before heading home, I buy a small notebook. I start writing everything down: the doctor's note, the erased medical records, my husband's access log, the life insurance documents. I date each entry just in case something happens to me. It sounds dramatic, but paranoia is just preparation when you've run out of trust. When I get home, Daniel greets me at the door with his usual easy smile. He notices the notebook and asks, "New project?" I force a laugh. "Just journaling," I say. He nods, kisses my cheek, and for a moment, I almost believe he's still the man I married. But when he walks away, I catch his reflection in the window. His eyes aren't on me. They're on my notebook. That night, I slide it under the mattress and sleep with one ear open. I dream of paper burning, of signatures dissolving into smoke, of Dr. Patel standing at the end of a long corridor, whispering something I can't hear. When I wake up, I realize he was never warning me to run. He was warning me to prepare. The following morning, the world feels like it's been scrubbed clean, but something invisible still lingers in the air like bleach after a crime scene. I open the curtains, hoping sunlight might make things feel normal again, but even the light looks suspicious, filtered through clouds that hang too low. Daniel's already gone to work, leaving behind his usual note on the fridge. "Don't forget to rest. Love you." I stare at it for a full minute. That used to make me smile. Now it feels like handwriting on a loaded gun. I make myself coffee I don't drink. Scroll aimlessly through emails, but my mind won't quiet. Every detail about the last few days refuses to settle: Dr. Patel's missing face, the erased medical records, my husband's forged signature. People still debate whether we overanalyze when we feel unsafe or if fear simply sharpens our senses. Either way, I've never felt more awake in my life. By 10 a.m., I decide to call the clinic again. This time, I use a different excuse. I say I'm an insurance auditor needing to confirm Dr. Patel's status. The receptionist hesitates before transferring me to administration. The voice on the other end sounds rehearsed, saying he's under review due to documentation discrepancies. My pulse quickens. When I ask what kind of discrepancies, the line goes dead. That's when I know whatever's happening isn't small. I grab my keys notebook and an old USB drive I found in Daniel's drawer last night. I don't know what's on it yet, but my instincts tell me it's important. Before leaving the house, I glance at the family photos lining the hallway. Every smile feels artificial, now posed edited a facade. There's one from our anniversary trip to the lake, Daniel's hand on my shoulder, my mother grinning beside us, my sister-in-law flashing her perfect teeth. I notice something I never saw before. My mother's other hand isn't visible. It's behind my back. I can almost feel her fingers tightening around something unseen. I drive downtown to a small co-working cafe where nobody knows me. I plug in the USB drive and the computer whirs to life. Inside the folder labeled Insurance Review 2020-24, there's a series of PDFs, contracts, policy scans, financial summaries. Most have both our names, but one stands out, Amendment Whitmore Confidential.pdf. I open it and my throat goes dry. It's a legal document listing me as the insured party under a new clause titled Terminal Care Adjustment. The document suggests I've been diagnosed with a neurodegenerative condition. That's a lie. I've never been diagnosed with anything. Yet the file is dated 3 weeks ago, signed digitally by both of us. My coffee goes cold as I stare at the screen. I can barely breathe. If this file is real and it looks authentic, it means someone's setting me up as terminally ill. It's the perfect alibi to explain an unexpected death. I email the document to myself using a secret account I made in college, then delete my traces from the cafe computer. My hands are trembling as I leave. Outside, the wind's picked up, tugging at my hair, whispering like static. I glance over my shoulder twice before realizing I've started walking faster without meaning to. When I get home, Daniel's car is already in the driveway. I wasn't expecting him back so soon. For a second, I consider driving away, but it's too late. He steps out of the front door, smiling. "You've been out early," he says, wiping his hands with a dish towel. His voice is calm, but something in his tone is off, like he's testing the weight of each word. I lie easily now. "Just needed air," I say. He nods slowly, then his eyes drift toward my purse. "You didn't take your vitamins this morning." My stomach clenches. Those vitamins, the ones he started giving me last month. Little white capsules in an unmarked bottle. He always insists I take them with dinner. I remember once they made me dizzy. I told him. He laughed and said it was dehydration. I murmur something about taking them later. He shrugs and goes back inside. I wait until he's in his office, then quietly dump the pills into the sink. One of them cracks open. A faint chemical smell rises sharp and unfamiliar. For the first time, I allow myself to consider that Dr. Patel's warning might not have been about deception, it might have been about survival. That evening, I invite my sister-in-law, Rachel, over for dinner. She arrives with her usual flare heels clicking, perfume trailing like a warning bell. She hugs me too tightly, saying, "You look pale, sweetie." "Daniel told us you've been having episodes." I freeze. "Episodes?" I ask. She laughs softly. "You know, forgetfulness, mood swings, early symptoms maybe?" There it is, the narrative they're building. The perfect story for when I start acting erratic. I play along pretending confusion. I pour her wine and we sit at the table like nothing's wrong. She keeps glancing toward the hallway as if checking whether Daniel's listening. Then she says something that chills me to my bones. "It's better if you don't resist care. He just wants what's best for you." I smile mechanical. My nails dig into my palm under the table. After she leaves, I watch her car pull away and realize I've just witnessed a performance rehearsed for weeks. My family isn't helping me, they're preparing me. That night, I lock myself in the bathroom again, whispering into the mirror like it might answer back. I tell myself I'm not crazy. I repeat facts like affirmations my doctor warned me my records were accessed. My signature was forged. They're lying about my health. Facts are my only defense. But facts don't feel like much comfort when your world turns into a courtroom without walls. I scroll through forums about medical record fraud, inheritance disputes, and psychological manipulation. One post hits me hard. When they can't control your money, they control your mind. I stare at that line for 10 minutes, around 2 a.m. I sneak back into Daniel's office. I take photos of everything: insurance papers, bank transfers, a draft labeled "Power of Attorney form pending." My hands shake so much the images blur, but it doesn't matter. I have evidence now. And something else resolve. I don't confront him that night. Instead, I make a list, a real one not hidden in my notebook. Get copies of all medical records. Contact a lawyer outside the city. Call Dr. Patel's emergency number if it still works. Prepare a backup plan. People still debate whether it's betrayal to leave your family behind for your own safety. But sometimes self-preservation is the only form of love left. By morning, my decision is made. I call Dr. Patel's number. It rings once, then goes straight to voicemail. But this time, there's something new, a faint sound in the background, like traffic noise. And then a voice. Quick trembling. "You need to leave," he says. "They're watching. The files, they're not about treatment. They're about timing." The message ends abruptly. I sit frozen for a long minute, phone clutched in both hands. He sounded terrified. The word timing echoes in my head until it becomes meaningless. That evening, Daniel walks in humming, sets his briefcase down, and says he scheduled a surprise weekend trip for us at the lake. The same lake from that photo. Just us two. He smiles. No distractions. I smile back. Inside, every instinct I have screams one word: run. The morning of the surprise trip arrives wrapped in a kind of silence that doesn't feel natural. Even the birds outside sound cautious, their songs fragmented like someone cut the melody in half. Daniel hums while packing the car his usual tune, some half-remembered jazz riff, but there's an extra note of brightness in it that makes my skin crawl. He keeps asking if I've packed my medication, if I remembered my ID, if I feel steady enough for the drive. I tell him I'm fine, but inside I'm counting the seconds until we leave, because every moment in that house now feels like standing in quicksand. I slip my notebook into my coat pocket, along with the USB and a backup phone I bought yesterday. I don't know what I'll find at the lake, but something deep inside me knows I can't go empty-handed. I make one small change before we leave. I quietly text my old college friend Alyssa, someone Daniel's never met, and send her a simple message. If you don't hear from me by Sunday night, call the police. I don't explain. Some truths are too heavy to type. The drive takes 2 hours. Daniel talks the whole time, mostly about fresh air and disconnecting. He even jokes we'll come back new people. I laugh when I'm supposed to, but I notice the way his eyes keep flicking to me in the rearview mirror like he's measuring my reactions. He stops at a gas station halfway through and buys 2 bottles of water. When he hands me one, I pretend to take a sip, then accidentally drop it between the seats. "Clumsy me," I say, with a fake laugh. He chuckles, but his eyes narrow just for a second, barely enough to notice. When we arrive, the lake looks exactly as I remembered: glassy water stretching into gray distance, the cabin perched just far enough from the main road to be forgotten. The smell of pine and damp earth hits me like déjà vu. Everything feels familiar but off, like a childhood home in a nightmare. Inside the cabin is pristine firewood, stacked neatly, sheets folded, everything perfect. Too perfect. I notice there's only one key hanging on the wall. Daniel locks the door behind us with a casual twist that sounds louder than it should. "I thought we could cook together tonight," he says, smiling. "I brought your favorite soup mix." He unpacks methodically. His movements practiced. I help him out of habit, setting utensils, pretending calm. But every clink of metal feels like a countdown. After lunch, I excuse myself to take a nap, but really I'm searching. I check drawers, cupboards, the bathroom cabinet. Nothing unusual until I find a small paper bag tucked under the sink, labeled with my name. Inside, sealed bottles of medication identical to the ones I forgot to bring. I check the label, not vitamins. Sedatives, strong ones. My hands go cold. I put everything back exactly as I found it. When I step out, Daniel's sitting on the porch, staring at the lake. He doesn't turn when he says, "You've been acting distant lately." His tone is light, but the sentence lands heavy. "Just tired," I say. "All this stress at work," he hums. "You've always worked too hard." Then softly, almost to himself, he adds, "You won't have to much longer. That night, I don't sleep. I lie there listening to the rhythmic creak of the floorboards as he paces. Every few minutes he stops outside the bedroom door. I pretend to be asleep. At 2:40 a.m., the door opens halfway. I see his silhouette against the faint moonlight. He stands there for a moment, then leaves. The lock clicks again. In that moment, I make my decision. If I stay, I die. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. Before dawn, I quietly gather what I need: my notebook, phone, a flashlight, and car keys. I slip on my shoes and ease the window open. The air outside is freezing, but I barely feel it. My heart is pounding so loudly, I'm sure it'll wake him. I step outside, one foot crunching softly on gravel, and freeze when I hear the faint creak of the floor inside. I hold my breath until the silence returns. Then I run. The path to the main road is narrow, lined with wet leaves and branches that claw at my jacket. I can barely see, just following memory. Halfway there, my phone buzzes. It's Alyssa. Everything, me. Hand shakes so badly I nearly drop it. I type, "No, not safe. Call police." But before I can hit send, the light from the cabin flicks on behind me. I don't look back. I run until I reach the car. I press the key fob, the click echoing too loudly. When the engine roars to life, I floor it, gravel spraying behind me. The lake disappears in the rearview mirror, swallowed by trees. 15 minutes later, my phone rings, an unknown number. I shouldn't answer, but fear makes me curious. I press the screen. A man's voice, steady, urgent. "This is Dr. Patel," he says. Relief floods me, then confusion. "Where have you been?" I whisper. He hesitates. "Listen carefully. They've filed documents declaring you mentally unfit. Your husband's building a case to have you committed. You need to disappear before they find you." My mind spins. Why me? Why would they? "It's about money," he cuts in. "And control. They can't access your trust without you being deemed incompetent." His voice lowers. "They offered me money to falsify reports. I refused. That's why I had to disappear." Then quietly, "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." The line clicks dead again before I can respond. I pull over, hands shaking so hard I can barely hold the wheel. Everything crashes over me at once: rage, grief, disbelief. My whole life reduced to a spreadsheet and forged signatures. The family I built my identity around now, a web of predators dressed as caretakers. I drive aimlessly until sunrise, ending up in a small roadside diner. I sit in a corner booth, trying to think. The waitress, a woman with tired eyes, asks if I'm okay. I lie and say I'm just passing through. She nods like she's heard that 1,000 times. People still debate whether blood truly binds us or if it's just paperwork that keeps us tethered. But staring out that diner window, I realize blood is just another contract, one that can be rewritten with a forged signature. By mid-morning, I'm in a motel 2 towns away. I take a long shower trying to wash the fear off, but it clings. I spread everything I've collected on the bed, the USB, the copies, the photos, my notes. It looks like a crime scene made of paper. I organize it all into a folder labeled, "For Lawyer." Then, using my spare phone, I email everything to a private investigator I found online. I don't even care if they think I'm crazy. I just need someone else to know. When I finally look in the mirror, I barely recognize myself. My eyes look older, sharper. My hair's still damp, my clothes wrinkled, but there's something new, a kind of stillness. Fear used to make me small. Now it's making me precise. I sit on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, watching the sun creep through the blinds. And for the first time in days, I don't feel completely powerless. They might have the documents, the money, the manipulation, but I have the truth. And the truth, once it's seen, doesn't go back to sleep. Morning light leaks through the blinds in thin, fractured lines. The motel room smells of old coffee and damp carpet, but it feels safer than my own house ever did. I sit at the small table with my laptop open, staring at the folder labeled "For Lawyer." Inside are my copies of insurance forms, the forged signatures, the call log with Dr. Patel, and photos of the sedatives labeled with my name. It's proof, but it's not safety. Not yet. I need someone to believe me before they find me. I start by calling a lawyer in another city, the first one whose website promises confidential client protection. His assistant answers, and I give her a vague summary. My husband forged medical records and insurance papers. I have proof. There's a pause long enough for me to imagine her judging me. Then she transfers me to him directly. His voice is calm, practiced. "You're doing the right thing," he says, "but if what you're saying is true, you need to come in person. Bring everything. Don't send digital files." He gives me an address 3 hours north. I write it down and book a bus under a false name. I don't dare use my car anymore. I leave it parked behind the diner keys, still in the ignition. If Daniel finds it, let him think I broke down or panicked. Confusion is my best camouflage now. On the bus, I keep my head down. I watch raindrops crawl across the window as the world slides by in gray streaks. Every time someone stands to stretch or grab luggage, my heart spikes. I half expect to see my mother's perfume lingering in the air or Rachel's silhouette in the aisle. But no one comes for me. Not yet. By late afternoon, the bus rolls into a quiet town surrounded by fog and pine trees. The law office sits above a bakery, the kind of small-town place that smells like cinnamon and paper. The lawyer, Mr. Green, looks older than his voice, with kind eyes and a cautious way of speaking. I tell him everything, starting from the moment Dr. Patel handed me the note. He doesn't interrupt, just listens and takes notes in neat handwriting. When I finish, he leans back. "You have evidence," he says slowly, "but this goes deeper than fraud. If your husband filed medical statements and power of attorney documents under false pretenses, that's attempted criminal coercion." He looks at me with genuine sympathy. "You need to stay off the grid until we can verify this." I hand him the USB. He plugs it into his computer and scrolls through the files silently. His face tightens as he reads the terminal care adjustment document. This was notarized," he murmurs, "and the notary signature is legitimate." He meets my eyes. "That means your husband paid someone off." It feels surreal, hearing someone else say it, like my nightmare has finally stepped into daylight. Mr. Green prints copies, locks them in a safe, and gives me a burner phone. "If anyone contacts you claiming to be me," he says, "verify the last word I tell you now." He writes it on a sticky note pineapple. It's oddly absurd, but it makes me smile for the first time in days. Before leaving, he suggests I check into a different motel somewhere far from the bus stop. I take his advice. I walk several blocks through misty streets until I find a small roadside inn called the Whispering Pines. The irony isn't lost on me. That night, I sit by the window eating vending machine crackers, watching headlights come and go. My body's tired, but my mind keeps replaying every memory that now looks different under this new light. I think about the family dinners where I was the joke, the subtle dismissals, the way Daniel always handled our finances because he was better with numbers, all those small surrenders that built the cage I didn't see forming. Around midnight, I get a text from an unknown number. "I can help you." It's about Patel. My heart stops. I hesitate, then reply, "Who is this?" The typing bubbles appear, then vanish. After a minute, a second message arrives. "They found him. He's dead. Leave town now." I stare at the screen until the letters blur. My first instinct is disbelief, but a cold wave of logic follows. If Dr. Patel's dead, the only person who could expose their plan is me. I pack everything laptop folder notes into my bag. But before I can leave, I hear footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. They stop outside my door. A knock, 3 soft taps. My whole body tenses. I glance through the peephole and see nothing but a shadow. "Who is it?" I whisper. Silence. Then the shadow moves away. I wait several minutes before daring to breathe again. I don't sleep that night. I sit in the corner with the light-off phone clutched in both hands, waiting for dawn. At 6 a.m., I check out, leaving cash at the counter. I take back roads north, catching a ride with a truck driver hauling lumber. He talks nonstop about the economy, the weather, his daughter's new puppy, mundane details that sound like music compared to my chaos. When he asks my name, I say, "Lena." It feels strange, but freeing. We stop at a gas station around noon. I grab coffee and step outside to stretch. Across the street, a black sedan is parked facing the highway. No driver inside. No plates. For a moment, I tell myself it's nothing, just a coincidence, but then I see it. A small sticker on the windshield from my insurance company. I go cold all over. When the driver honks to signal departure, I climb back in fast. "Everything okay?" he asks. Yeah, I lie. Just thought I saw someone I knew. He nods and turns up the radio. Country music fills the cab, drowning out the sound of my pulse. People still debate whether paranoia ever saves a life. I think it already saved mine. By evening, we reach the next town, and I thank the driver with more gratitude than I can express. I check into a small bed and breakfast under another name. It's cozy with floral curtains and a host who talks too much about her cat. The normalcy feels almost sacred. I shower, eat, and sit by the window again. It's become a habit, the ritual of vigilance. My mind drifts to Dr. Patel. If the text was true, then his warning cost him his life. That thought hits me harder than I expect. The world feels smaller, more dangerous, but also clearer. I finally understand what betrayal really is. Not the act itself, but the moment you realize it's been happening for longer than you noticed. Before bed, I send an encrypted email to Mr. Green using the burner phone possible surveillance. Car near last location. Patel may be dead. What now? I don't expect an immediate reply, but one comes within minutes. Stay calm. Keep everything hidden. Do not return home. They're panicking now. That's when they make mistakes. His message steadies me. For the first time, I sense power shifting. If they're panicking, that means I still have something they don't time. I crawl into bed, pulling the blanket tight. Outside, the wind rattles the window and the pine trees whisper like they're keeping secrets of their own. I close my eyes and tell myself that surviving isn't running, it's rewriting the ending before someone else does it for you. I wake up to the smell of rain and something faintly metallic, like rust and wet air colliding. For a moment, I forget where I am. The floral curtains, the pale yellow walls, the hum of an old radiator, none of it belongs to my life, and that's both terrifying and comforting. Then it hits me. All over again, Dr. Patel is dead. My family wants me declared insane, and the only thing standing between me and oblivion is a USB drive the size of my thumb. I brew a cup of weak motel coffee and sit by the window watching puddles form in the street below. The rain blurs everything into a watercolor, buildings melting into one another, cars dissolving into streaks of gray. Somewhere inside that fog, I imagine Daniel's car prowling the highways, my mother's polite voice rehearsing her next lie. I used to think family meant home. Now it feels like a trap I escaped by accident. By mid-morning, my phone buzzes with a new message from Mr. Green. Stay where you are. Police investigation into Patel confirmed. Don't talk to anyone claiming to be from his office. My chest tightens. That means it's official. His death isn't a rumor. It's evidence. Someone wanted silence, and they got it. I open my notebook, flipping through the scrawled pages of fear, facts, and fragments of thought. There's a quote I once wrote down, something I'd read in a magazine about psychology. Families are systems. When one member changes, the system attacks to restore balance. I never understood it until now. My change was waking up to their manipulation, and their attack is calling it madness. People still debate whether it's better to know the truth or live peacefully inside a lie. I don't think there's peace either way. Around noon, the innkeeper knocks on my door holding a letter. Delivered by hand, she says. No return address. I thank her, heart pounding, and wait until she leaves before opening it. Inside is a single sheet of paper typed not handwritten. We can still fix this. Come home. No one has to get hurt. No signature. But the phrasing, the manipulative calm, feels like Daniel. I tear the letter in half, then into quarters, flush it down the toilet, and sit on the edge of the bed, breathing through the tremors. He found me once. He can find me again. That realization burns through me like acid. I can't just hide. I need to go on offense. So I start planning. I list everything I still have that can expose them. Copies of the insurance documents, the recording of Rachel talking about my episodes, and the voice message from Dr. Patel warning me they're building a case. If I vanish now, they win. But if I make it public, send everything to news outlets, law enforcement, online archives, they lose control of the narrative. I spend the next few hours researching whistleblower emails and encrypted submission sites. I send my evidence to 3 different sources, each under a fake name. I attach one line of explanation. This is evidence of a coordinated insurance fraud and attempted coercion involving forged medical records. If I go missing, release everything. Then I close the laptop, my hands shaking from both relief and fear. At 3 p.m., I step outside for fresh air. The rain has stopped, but the world still looks soaked and glistening. Across the street, a man in a dark coat stands under a lamppost pretending to check his phone. He's too still, too focused. When I glance back a second time, he's gone. I tell myself I imagined it, but the pit in my stomach says otherwise. I go back inside, lock the door, and pull the curtains closed. My reflection in the mirror looks foreign, paler, sharper, more deliberate. I whisper to it, "You're still here." It's half mantra, half accusation. Evening comes fast. The innkeeper offers me dinner, homemade stew, but I decline, saying I don't feel well. I don't trust anyone's food anymore. I eat an apple from my bag instead, its sourness grounding me. Later, I call Mr. Green. I think they found me, I say quietly. He listens, then replies, "I'll contact local authorities, but don't wait for them. Keep moving tonight." There's a brief pause before he adds, "And remember the word, pineapple," I say. He exhales, maybe a smile behind it. "Good. You're still the client I'm talking to then." I pack my things quickly, leave cash on the dresser, and slip out through the back door into the misty evening. The air smells like wood smoke and wet soil. I head toward the main road, avoiding streetlights. Every passing car feels like a searchlight. I reach a small bus depot with a flickering sign, "Next departure, 8:45 p.m. Perfect. I buy a ticket to a city I pick at random, just far enough to start over again. As I wait, I notice an elderly woman sitting across the bench, humming softly to herself. She smiles at me, kind eyes behind fogged glasses. Running away, she asks. I freeze, startled, but she laughs. Everyone who sits here looks like that, lost and halfway brave. Her words soften something in me. I nod, managing a weak smile. Halfway brave sounds about right. When the bus arrives, I let her board first. As I step up, I glance behind me. A black sedan has pulled into the depot parking lot. The same car. I feel the blood drain from my face. The driver doesn't move, just sits there, engine running, lights off. I grab a seat near the back. The bus lurches forward, tires hissing on the wet road. I watch the sedan through the window. It follows for a few miles, then disappears into the darkness. I want to believe it's gone, but experience has taught me otherwise. Hours pass. The bus rocks gently, the engine humming like a lullaby for the restless. I close my eyes, but my thoughts race. What if they manage to twist the story before I reach safety? What if my emails get buried? I imagine my mother on TV tearfully insisting her poor daughter suffered from delusions. People would believe her. She's always been so charming in public. I force myself to breathe slowly, counting backward. When I open my eyes, the old woman from earlier is asleep beside me, her head tilted toward the window. For a fleeting moment, I envy her peace. We arrive in a new city just before dawn, a place I've never been, anonymous and humming with early traffic. I check into a cheap hostel under another name. The clerk doesn't ask questions. My room is small with peeling wallpaper and a single lamp that flickers when I switch it on. I drop my bag, collapse onto the bed, and for the first time in days, I cry. Not quietly, not politely. Just raw, shaking sobs that feel like they've been waiting my whole life to come out. I cry for Dr. Patel, for the version of me who trusted too easily, for the quiet violence of people who smiled while sharpening knives. When the tears finally stop, dawn has turned the sky pale blue. My reflection in the window is blurry, ghost-like. I whisper to it, "You're alive." And for now, that's enough. By late morning, the city is awake and noisy, but I feel detached from it, like I'm walking through a movie where the sound is slightly out of sync. Horns chatter footsteps. They all blend into a hum that barely reaches me. I grab coffee from a corner stall and sit by the window, staring at the people passing by. Strangers with grocery bags, commuters with earbuds, a child tugging at her mother's hand, all of them living inside ordinary moments while my reality unravels in the background. It's a strange kind of loneliness, being invisible among the normal. I check my burner phone. 2 new messages from Mr. Green. The first reads, "News outlet confirmed receipt of files. You've been smart. Stay hidden until we hear back." The second warning, "There's an inquiry under your name. Someone's trying to report you missing." That last line twists my stomach. A missing person report sounds caring, but it's another trap. If the police find me under that alert, they'll hand me right back to the people I'm running from. I know what comes next. They'll paint me as unstable. The unwell wife who fled treatment. It's almost elegant how evil it is. Family betrayal wrapped in bureaucracy. People still debate whether evil is born from greed or fear, but I think it's simpler. It's convenience. Evil is just the easiest option when truth gets in the way. I leave the cafe quickly and duck into a public library. The smell of dust and old paper wraps around me like a blanket. It's one of the few places left where silence feels natural, not menacing. I take a seat in the back corner and open my laptop. A notification flashes across the screen. One of the journalists I'd sent my files to replied. The subject line reads, "Urgent need to verify details." My pulse jumps. I open it carefully. "Thank you for reaching out." The email begins. "Your documents are serious allegations. We're reviewing them, but before we can publish, we need confirmation from law enforcement or another verified source." I type back, fast fingers shaking. "The lawyer handling my case has verified the authenticity. I can connect you." Then I forward Mr. Green's contact information and hit send. For a brief electric moment, I feel power. They wanted me voiceless, but now my story exists in someone else's inbox, a truth with its own momentum. It's out there alive. But then I notice the man 2 tables away. Dark jacket, plain cap, reading a newspaper that he never turns. I tell myself it's coincidence. Still, when I stand to leave, he folds the paper and follows. Outside, I weave through the crowd, forcing myself not to run. I cut down side streets, past a bakery, a closed pharmacy, a narrow alley that smells like rain-soaked brick. My heartbeat keeps time with my footsteps. When I finally glance back, he's gone, or maybe he was never real. Paranoia and survival look the same in practice. I keep walking until my legs ache and end up near the river. The water moves slow and brown under a rusted bridge. A small family feeds pigeons by the bank, their laughter thin against the wind. I find a bench and sit breathing deeply, grounding myself in the sound of ripples. For a moment, it almost feels normal. Then my phone buzzes again. Unknown number. My breath catches. I answer without speaking. Static fills the line, then a man's voice, calm, familiar. "You've made this harder than it needed to be." I freeze. It's Daniel. He sighs like a parent disappointed with a stubborn child. "You're scared. I understand, but you need to come home. You're sick, and you're making things worse." My throat tightens. "Stop pretending," I whisper. "Pretending." His voice stays smooth, rehearsed. "You forged those documents, didn't you? I told everyone it wasn't your fault. The stress, the insomnia, it's gotten to you." I hang up before I start screaming. My hands are trembling so badly that I almost drop the phone into the river. I clutch it to my chest, breathing through the nausea. He's turning it around, spinning the story before I can even tell it. That's always been his gift, control through calmness. Even lies sound logical when he tells them slowly enough. I know I can't keep moving like this forever. I need a safe house, something solid. I call Mr. Green, voice shaking. "He found me again," I say. He called. "Where are you?" he asks. "By the river. Stay in public," he says. "I'm sending an associate. Her name is Nora. She'll say the word pineapple. Don't go with anyone else." It takes an hour for Nora to arrive. She's younger than I expect, mid-30s, short hair, calm eyes. She walks straight up to me and says quietly, "Pineapple." I exhale for what feels like the first time in hours. We drive in silence for nearly 2 hours. She doesn't ask questions, just keeps her eyes on the road, one hand on the wheel, one occasionally checking her phone. Finally, she says Mr. Green thinks you need time somewhere private. Not a motel. Not the city. Somewhere quiet. We end up at a small farmhouse outside town. It smells like hay and rain, surrounded by open fields that hum with the sound of crickets. Nora shows me the guest room, simple but warm. "You can rest here a few days," she says. "We'll handle the legal side." When she leaves, I sit on the bed and look out the window. The sun is setting, painting the horizon orange and bruised. For the first time, I feel a hint of safety, not peace, but distance, enough to breathe. That night, I find an old notebook on the nightstand. The previous guest must have left it behind. Inside are lists of farm chores, sketches of plants, and on one page, a quote in neat handwriting. Sometimes survival isn't about fighting. It's about outlasting. I trace the words with my finger. Outlasting. That's all I need to do now. Outlast the lies, the fear, the rewriting of my story. Before sleeping, I check my email one last time. There's a new message from the journalist. We've verified your lawyer. Publishing preliminary article tomorrow. Be prepared for media contact. I stare at the screen until the words blur. Tomorrow, the truth will finally have a name. I close the laptop, pull the blanket over my shoulders, and whisper to the dark hold on just one more night. Outside, the wind moves through the fields like someone exhaling slowly, and for the first time since the note in the doctor's office, I fall asleep without fear. The next morning, I wake up to bird song and the faint creak of wood. For a moment, I don't remember where I am. The farmhouse feels too peaceful to be real sunlight leaking through sheer curtains, dust motes floating in the still air, the distant clatter of someone making coffee in the kitchen. My first instinct is panic, that sharp shot of adrenaline that's kept me alive this long. But then Nora's voice drifts down the hall, calm and steady, talking to someone on the phone. It anchors me back to now. I'm still safe for the moment. I sit up slowly, taking in the unfamiliar room. A quilt covers me handmade with mismatched squares of old fabric. There's something almost maternal about it, the kind of comfort I haven't felt in years. I realize painfully that I can't remember the last time someone tucked me in without wanting something in return. When I walk into the kitchen, Nora's sitting at the table with a laptop open, scrolling through headlines. She glances up, offering a small smile. "It's out," she says. I move closer. There it is, my story, or at least part of it. The headline reads, "Woman claims family conspired to fake illness and seize assets doctor found dead." My name isn't printed, just anonymous source. The article mentions insurance fraud, falsified medical records, a family under investigation. Seeing it in black and white feels unreal, like looking at my own ghost. "It's gone viral," Nora says softly. "People are talking. Law enforcement's opening an inquiry. For the first time in what feels like forever, I exhale without guilt. So it's real now, I whisper. Not just in my head. Nora nods. The truth's out there. That makes you harder to erase. Her phone buzzes again, and she steps outside to take the call. I stay by the window, watching morning light spill across the fields. The grass sways gold and green. For a fleeting second, I imagine what it might be like to start over somewhere far away, to reclaim my name and rebuild a life that doesn't belong to anyone else. But peace never lasts long for me. When Nora returns, her face is pale. She sits down across from me, eyes heavy. There's been a development. My heart clenches. What kind? Your husband gave an interview last night. He's denying everything, claims you're unstable, says the documents were faked as part of a delusional episode. She hesitates before adding, your mother backed him up. I laugh, a brittle, hollow sound. Of course she did. Nora turns the laptop toward me. There's Daniel on screen wearing that same rehearsed smile, the one he used to win over everyone from clients to my mother. I just want her safe, he says to the reporter. She's been under so much stress since her father passed. We love her. We're praying for her recovery. My stomach twists. He's doing it, rewriting me in real time. The comments under the video are already split. Poor man must be hard. Maybe she's lying. This sounds like gaslighting. People still debate whether online sympathy ever helps victims or just turns their pain into entertainment. I feel like I'm watching my own life become public property. Nora closes the laptop gently. The article bought us time, but now you're a target of narrative control. They'll flood the story with noise until no one knows what's real. I stare at my coffee, my reflection warped in the dark liquid. So what do we do? Stay quiet, she says. Let the investigators follow the paper trail. If you speak now, they'll twist your words. It makes sense, but silence feels unbearable. Every instinct in me wants to scream. By afternoon, tension fills the air like static. The farmhouse creaks with the wind, every sound amplified by paranoia. I keep pacing from window to window, watching for cars that don't belong. Nora tells me to rest, but I can't. The world feels too close again. At sunset, she drives into town for supplies, leaving me alone. I lock the doors, double-check the windows, and try to distract myself by flipping through an old recipe book left in the kitchen. There's a note scribbled on the inside cover: "Love is safety, and safety is love." I trace the words with my finger, unsure if I still believe them. Then just as I start to calm, I hear it gravel crunching outside. A car pulling up. My pulse spikes. I peek through the curtain. It's a silver SUV engine idling. No one gets out. Minutes pass. Still nothing. Then the car door opens. A man steps out tall, wearing a dark jacket. I can't see his face clearly, but something about his posture makes me freeze. He walks to the porch and knocks 3 slow taps. My body remembers before my mind does. That rhythm, that patience. Daniel. I back away from the door, breath coming shallow. He knocks again. "Sweetheart," his voice is calm, coaxing. "It's me. We just want to talk." I grab my phone, hands trembling, and text Nora. He's here. The next moment feels like a movie in slow motion. The doorknob rattles. He's trying it. Then comes the sound of keys. He has one. Of course he does. Panic roars through me. I run to the back door, but he's already inside. His footsteps are slow, confident. "You shouldn't have run," he says softly. "You've made this harder for everyone." I slip into the laundry room, crouch behind the washer, and press record on my phone. His voice echoes closer. "I loved you, you know. Still do. But you've left me no choice." The front door bursts open again. Nora's voice. "Police are on their way," Daniel curses under his breath. Footsteps shuffling a slam. I stay frozen until silence returns. When I finally crawl out, Nora is standing in the doorway, pale but steady. Phone still in her hand. "He's gone," she says. "They're tracing his car." I can't speak. My whole body shakes as the adrenaline drains away. Later, when the police arrive, they take my statement photograph, the broken lock, and collect the recording. One of them, a young officer with kind eyes, says quietly, "You're safe now, ma'am." But as the lights from their cruisers fade into the distance, I realize he's wrong. Safety isn't something anyone can give me. It's something I'll have to rebuild one truth at a time. That night, Nora stays with me. We sit by the fireplace, both too wired to sleep. "They won't stop easily," she says, staring into the flames. "But neither will you." I nod, my voice barely a whisper. They taught me how to survive. Now I'll teach them what that really means. Outside, the wind howls against the windows like a warning or maybe a promise. And for the first time, I don't feel like prey anymore. I feel like proof. By dawn, the farmhouse feels different. Not safe, never that, but sharper alive, like it's listening with me. I wake to the smell of wood smoke and the faint hum of police radios from outside. They parked a patrol car by the gate overnight just in case Daniel returned. Through the window, I can see the 2 officers taking turns sipping coffee, their faces tired and sympathetic. I wonder what they think of me, another runaway wife, another case of he said, she said. The truth is harder to explain. I'm not running from a man. I'm running from a system that wears the face of family. Nora's already in the kitchen typing on her laptop. The glow of the screen paints her face pale blue. "They located Daniel's car," she says as I sit down. "Abandoned by the highway about 30 miles from here. No sign of him yet." My heart should slow at that, but it doesn't. Daniel is clever. If he's hiding, it's because he's planning. "What about my mother?" I ask quietly. "She's been unreachable since last night," Nora says. "Her phone's off." The news is full of conflicting statements, some claiming she's devastated, others suggesting she's cooperating with authorities. Your sister-in-law's lawyer released a statement too. It's all chaos. I almost smile at that word, chaos. For once, it's not mine alone to hold. Still, exhaustion pulls at me. I've been surviving on fear and caffeine for too long. I rub my temples, whispering, I just want it to stop. Nora closes her laptop gently. It will. But first you have to finish what you started. She's right. The truth is out but incomplete. I need to tell the whole story, to name names, to link documents, to make sure Dr. Patel's death isn't buried under headlines and pity. I'm going to record everything I say, my side, my voice. If anything happens to me, it should exist somewhere they can't erase. Nora nods. Do it. I'll back it up. So I do. I sit by the window facing the fields and start talking. My voice shakes at first, but steadies as the words flow. I tell it all: the note in the clinic, the erased medical records, the life insurance, the night at the lake, the chase. I even describe the look on Daniel's face when he found me at the farmhouse, how calm it was, how certain. The kind of calm that comes from believing you still own the narrative. When I finish, Nora saves the recording to multiple drives. She smiles faintly. Now you exist in a way they can't delete. The rest of the day passes in fragments, calls from investigators, emails from reporters, and endless cups of coffee. I find out Dr. Patel's family confirmed his involvement with my case. They're cooperating with police. There's even talk of reopening other medical fraud cases connected to the same insurance network. It's bigger than my family. That thought is both comforting and horrifying. In the afternoon, a detective named Ruiz arrives. He's a middle-aged patient with a face that looks built for skepticism. He listens to everything, occasionally jotting notes in a leather-bound book. When I hand him the folder of documents, he flips through carefully, stopping at the forged signatures. "This is serious," he says. "If what you're saying checks out, your husband could face multiple charges: fraud, coercion, possibly attempted homicide." The words hang heavy between us. Attempted homicide. Hearing it out loud feels like ice in my lungs. Detective Ruiz looks up. "You're lucky you know. Most people in your situation don't get out in time. Lucky." I want to laugh. I've lost my home, my family, my peace, but yes, I suppose I'm still breathing. Maybe that counts. He leaves, promising protection and updates within 48 hours. After he's gone, Nora and I sit in silence, the farmhouse creaking softly around us. "Do you think they'll believe me?" I ask. She looks at me with that calm steadiness I've come to depend on. "They don't have to believe you," she says. "They just have to believe the evidence. Let that do the talking." That night, sleep comes in fragments again. My dreams are scattered snapshots: Dr. Patel's trembling hand, Daniel's cold smile, my mother's perfume in the hall. I wake gasping, the echo of her voice in my ear. "You're overreacting, darling." Always that word, overreacting. It's how they kept me quiet for years. I get up and walk outside. The air is cool, the stars sharp above the fields. I stand there barefoot, listening to crickets and my own heartbeat. I think about how many women before me must have been silenced by words like unstable, hysterical, emotional, labels that erase truth. I whisper into the night, "Not anymore." By morning, there's movement again. Nora's on the phone pacing. When she hangs up, her expression is unreadable. "They found your mother," she says. My chest tightens. "Where?" "Her house. Empty. But there was a letter left on the kitchen counter addressed to you." I don't speak. I don't want to see it, but I know I have to. 2 hours later, Ruiz delivers it personally. It's handwritten on her stationery, floral edges and all. My mother's cursive is as delicate as ever. "My dear, I'm sorry things turned out this way. You've always been so sensitive. None of this was meant to hurt you. We only wanted what was best, what was practical. You don't understand the pressures we were under. Your husband loves you even now. Please don't destroy everything over a misunderstanding. Love. Mother." I stare at the letter until the words blur. Practical. Misunderstanding. The language of cowards. I fold it carefully and hand it to Ruiz. "Add it to your evidence," I say. My voice is flat, empty. That night, the farmhouse feels colder. Nora tries to talk to me, but I'm somewhere else inside memories I can't untangle. My mother brushing my hair before school. Her telling me to smile more, to keep the peace, to be grateful. How every lesson she taught me was really about silence. I sit by the fire, staring into the flames until they blur into shapes, faces, whispers, half-remembered laughter. People still debate whether family is destiny or choice. I used to believe it was destiny. Now I know better. Family is just the first story we're told about love. And sometimes it's a lie. Outside, the wind howls again. I take the recording Nora saved and slip one copy into my pocket. The rest stay locked away. If anything happens, at least one version of me will keep telling the truth. Tomorrow, Ruiz will return with updates. Maybe Daniel will be caught, maybe not. But tonight, sitting in this quiet house surrounded by fields, I finally feel something I haven't felt in months resolve. I whisper into the empty room, "You warned me, Dr. Patel." I listened. The fire pops, sending sparks into the dark like tiny stars. I watch them fade and murmur to myself, "Let them come." I'm ready this time. Morning breaks softer than I expect. The fog drifts low across the fields, heavy and luminous, and for a few fragile seconds I almost convince myself that this could be the start of something new. I can smell coffee downstairs. The hum of a radio leaks through the wooden walls, faint static mixed with the morning news. I take a deep breath, savoring the quiet before I face whatever waits today. When I walk into the kitchen, Nora looks up from her laptop, eyes alert but tired. "You should sit," she says, tone steady. I do. She turns the screen toward me. It's a breaking headline, "Police Arrest 2 in Connection with Insurance Fraud and Death of Dr. Patel." My breath catches. I scroll down. The article names 2 suspects, Rachel Whitmore, my sister-in-law, and an associate of the victim's family practice. Not Daniel, not yet. I read the paragraph twice before asking, "What about him?" Nora shakes her head. Still missing. They're coordinating with other agencies. But he won't stay invisible forever, not with this level of scrutiny. I stare at the photo of Rachel on the screen, her perfect hair, her calm, performative sorrow as she's led into custody. I remember her smirk at my kitchen table, the fake sympathy, the way she said episodes like it was a curse. Now that same woman's face is tagged under investigation. There's a grim satisfaction in it. Justice doesn't erase pain, but it does sharpen focus. I spend the next few hours helping Detective Ruiz fill in details by phone dates, conversations, small pieces that might connect everything. He listens carefully, not interrupting when my voice cracks. When I hang up, my hands are trembling. It feels like closing a wound that's been open too long. Nora sits across from me, her coffee untouched. "You realize this isn't over," she says quietly. "People like Daniel, when their stories collapse, they don't apologize. They retaliate." I nod. "Then I'll be ready." There's a long silence broken only by the ticking clock. Finally, I say what's been lingering in my throat for days. "You've been risking your job for me." "Why?" She smiles faintly. "Because someone helped me once. I didn't listen soon enough. I don't ask for details. We both know some stories live better as shadows." That afternoon, we drive into town so I can speak with Ruiz in person. The air smells like wet pavement and diesel. When I step into the small police building, every eye turns. They know who I am, the woman from the headline. A mix of curiosity and pity follows me down the hallway. Ruiz greets me with a nod. "We have enough to press charges against your husband once he's found," he says. "Your cooperation was key. Will they believe it?" I ask. The part about trying to declare me unfit, he meets my gaze. "They will." "You're not the first case like this, though. Most don't survive to testify. What you did recording, documenting it, saved you." The weight of his words sinks deep. Most don't survive. After we leave, Nora and I sit in the car silent for a long time. The rain starts again, soft and rhythmic. Finally, I whisper, "Do you think I'll ever feel normal again?" She doesn't sugarcoat it. Not the old normal, but you'll build a new one. Something smaller, quieter, something that belongs only to you. That night, back at the farmhouse, I light a candle by the window. The flame flickers wildly at first, then steadies into a slow, graceful dance. It reminds me of the moment all this began, the candle that burned beside my dinner plate, the doctor's note hidden in my hand. I realize now that the flame never really went out. It just shifted hands. I sit down and start writing, not for police, not for lawyers, but for myself. Every memory, every betrayal, every tiny moment of intuition I ignored. I write until my fingers ache. I write because stories once told lose their power to haunt in silence. When I finish, I close the notebook and look around the dimly lit room. It's simple, bare wood, the smell of old books and smoke, but it feels real. Everything in my old house was curated, polished fake. Here, imperfection feels like proof of life. Outside headlights flash briefly at the edge of the field, then fade away. My pulse spikes, but I force myself to breathe. Maybe it's a farmer. Maybe it's not. Either way, I won't hide. I walk to the window and stare into the night. Somewhere out there, Daniel is still running, rewriting, rationalizing. But the thing about liars is they eventually choke on their own script. The truth doesn't need to chase, it just waits. People still debate whether forgiveness is strength or surrender. I think it's neither. Forgiveness is understanding exactly what happened and deciding it doesn't own you anymore. I don't forgive him, but I refuse to let him be the final voice in my story. The farmhouse clock strikes midnight. I blow out the candle and whisper into the darkness, "You can stop running now." I'm not sure if I mean Daniel or myself. The next morning, the world feels new. Ruiz calls to confirm that warrants for Danielle have been issued internationally. The journalist emails me saying the investigation has expanded. Other victims are stepping forward. My story isn't just mine anymore, it's a signal fire. I walk outside, barefoot grass, damp under my feet, and let the sunlight hit my face. I think of Dr. Patel, his trembling hand, his warning, his courage. I whisper, "You didn't die for nothing." Nora joins me on the porch with 2 mugs of coffee. She hands me one, and for the first time I drink it without trembling. The sky is pale blue, washed clean by rain. The world keeps turning, and I'm still here to watch it. Maybe that's the quiet miracle of survival. It doesn't arrive with fanfare, just breath. 1 inhale, 1 exhale. Proof you're still writing your own ending. I turn to Nora and smile faintly. "So what happens now?" She shrugs. "Now you live." That's the part they never expect. We sit there for a long while saying nothing, just watching the fields move in the wind. Somewhere far away, sirens wail a sound that used to mean danger, but now sounds like distance. And in that fragile moment, I finally feel it. The calm that comes after the storm has told its last lie. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've listened to a stranger pull the truth out of darkness, and maybe in some small way you carried it with her. Every story like this leaves behind a trace, a scar, a whisper that says, believe your instincts even when they make you afraid. I've learned that betrayal doesn't always arrive shouting. Sometimes it comes wearing a familiar smile, holding a plate of dinner, asking if you're okay. And sometimes survival isn't about being brave, it's about listening to the quiet warnings the world gives you before it's too late. Tonight, as I sit here with the candle's last flicker fading beside me, I feel the weight of silence turn into something else. Peace, maybe. Or closure. The kind you build yourself when no one else will hand it to you. To everyone out there who's ever been told they're overreacting, imagining things, or just tired, you're not crazy for noticing. You're awake, stay awake. And to Dr. Patel, thank you for that note. It saved my life. Now, as always, turn off the lights, maybe keep the fan on for that soft hum of safety, and take a deep breath. The story's over, but you're still here. And that means there's hope. Good night, my friends. Thank you for being part of this.